The power of stillness. For a long time, I thought I had to keep moving, keep thinking, keep searching, keep fixing, keep understanding, keep looking for the next answer. If something hurt, I wanted to understand why. If something changed, I wanted to know what it meant. If I didn't have an answer, I searched for one. And if life became quiet, sometimes I filled that quiet with something else. But I've learned something that has changed the way I see my journey. Stillness is an emptiness. Stillness is where I finally get to hear myself. There have been so many chapters of my life where I was carrying something. Responsibilities, love, questions, pain, memories, dreams, other people's needs, my own expectations. And sometimes I became so focused on everything happening around me that I couldn't hear what was happening within me. That's why stillness became important. Not because everything suddenly became peaceful, but because I finally learned that I didn't have to run from the silence. I could sit in it. I could breathe. I could let my thoughts come and go without immediately believing every one of them. I could feel emotions without needing to fix them instantly. I could admit that I didn't know. I could simply be. And that was harder than I expected, because when you're used to constantly doing, stillness can feel uncomfortable. The moment everything becomes quiet, you can suddenly hear the things you've been avoiding. The questions, the sadness, the fears, the dreams, the truths. But I've discovered that sometimes what we're afraid to hear is exactly what we need to understand. Stillness has taught me that I don't have to solve my entire life in one sitting. I don't have to know what happens next. I don't have to have every answer. Sometimes I simply need to stop long enough to recognize where I am, to recognize how far I've already come, to notice what I'm feeling, to ask myself what I actually need, to remember what matters, and to let my spirit breathe. So how do I help myself remember? I create moments where nothing is required of me. I put down the phone. I step away from the noise. I write. I pray. I sit quietly. I breathe. I look at what is happening inside me without immediately judging it. Sometimes I create music. Sometimes I simply let my thoughts wander. Sometimes I don't do anything at all. And I've learned that doing nothing for a moment isn't wasting time. Sometimes it's where the most important work happens, because stillness gives me perspective. It reminds me that one difficult moment isn't my entire life. One mistake isn't my entire identity. One chapter isn't the whole story. One unanswered question doesn't mean there will never be an answer. And one painful experience doesn't get to decide who I become. Stillness has also taught me something about spiritual growth. I don't always need to chase an experience. Sometimes I need to become quiet enough to recognize what is already present. Faith doesn't always feel like certainty. Sometimes faith is sitting in the unknown and saying, I don't understand this yet, but I don't have to understand everything today. That's a completely different kind of strength. The kind that doesn't need to prove itself. The kind that can breathe. The kind that can wait. The kind that can listen. The kind that trusts that clarity doesn't always arrive through force. Sometimes it arrives through silence. So now, when life becomes overwhelming, I'm learning not to immediately run toward the next distraction, the next answer, or the next thing I need to fix. Sometimes I stop. I breathe. And I remember, I am allowed to be here. I am allowed to pause. I am allowed to not know. I am allowed to Simply exist without producing something, solving something, or taking care of something. Because maybe stillness isn't about escaping life. Maybe it's about finally becoming present enough to actually experience it. And maybe that's another part of coming home to yourself. You stop running long enough to realize you've been carrying yourself the entire time. When was the last time you allowed yourself to be completely still? Not to find an answer, but simply to listen.